Sparse crowd today.
Hey, Coach, will make a brief statement and we'll take some questions.
Let's start off by congratulating our women's soccer team, obviously. Awesome run, awesome effort right now. Elite Eight. We wish them the best of luck pulling for those guys, those ladies, excuse me. But it's UVA week, and we all know what that means around here for our players, our coaches, our staff, our school, our community, across the state of Virginia. It's a big, big game. And, we're very fortunate and excited to host it in Lane Stadium this year. That hasn't happened with fans since 2018. And then most importantly, to me, it's a chance to honor our seniors. Each and every year, anywhere I've been, this group of guys, when you look back over their career and the stories and the adversity and the ups and downs and the challenges and successes, to celebrate those guys is awesome. And I'm so glad that we make a big deal out of it here at Virginia Tech. We'll have a banquet for those guys next Saturday. Really proud of a bunch of guys and excited for them to be honored on Senior Day. So I'll take some questions.
Start with the quarterback situation. Do you think Drones or Schlee will be available? What's their situation?
I don't have the answer to that right now. They're both questionable. I'd say Schlee's probably a little further along, but I wish I felt better about it today.
Will both practice this week?
Limited to a degree where they may just be watching. They're in treatment protocol, both of them.
I know with Schlee, he took that hit. Was that something that required him going in concussion protocol or something like that, or was it a different injury he was
he's
dealing
banged
with?
up. He's been banged up. He took some shots earlier, over the course of the last couple of weeks and in that game, and so he's got a couple things he's got to get well.
Would you assume Pop Watson gets a vast majority of reps this week? And how much do you think a full complement of reps like that could help a guy after playing like he did?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, right now, he'll get the reps with the ones in practice today, and he needs it, and he'll benefit from it. Those Colin and Kyron have had a ton of reps all year. Obviously, Kyron, for 2 years. So Pop getting these significant snaps with the starting group is going to help him. He repped last week a bunch with the second group, but it'll be good to get him this work. And then the other guy that's certainly getting some attention right now in practice is Davi. He's getting some work, just like in that game Saturday night, he was one play away from having to lead the offense. So right now we've got 4 quarterbacks we're trying to get ready to play.
How much have you seen Davi's improvement throughout the year where you feel comfortable putting him in the game?
Yeah, first of all, he's a headsy guy. He's intelligent. He's got great wheels. He runs around really good. That part of the offense. He's very eager. He's anxious to learn, to know. He's still just a pup. He's young. He didn't get here till the summer with us, and so obviously there's an uphill climb there, but he's got some strengths to go along with the inexperience.
I know Duke's pressure had a lot to do with this, but how would you assess how the offensive line performed Saturday night?
Yeah, I thought. For the most part, we were pretty good hat-on-hat in the run game. I was disappointed in a couple of penalties at the point of attack. We got to be better there. Negated some big plays, put us in the hole. I think from a protection standpoint, you go back and look at the sacks, and more of those are on our quarterback, setting the protection wrong, maybe not getting rid of the ball in a timely fashion. And then a couple of them are miscues, where we could have made a communication call even though we set the protection wrong. Let's make this call to help us. We don't get that done. And then there's a couple of pops where we just got beat. We lost a one-on-one battle.
Does setting the protection come with the fact that Pop hadn't been in that situation before and just recognizing and reading what Duke's showing pre-snap, that something that, like you said Saturday night, is good tape for him to learn from?
Yeah, for instance, there's a play where he set it right with the same look earlier and then comes back later and doesn't set it right. It's a lot for him out there. And Duke does a good job with what they present and then what they actually do. It's a lot for those quarterbacks to see. And so, there were some snaps he did a nice job with it, and there were just some snaps he didn't get it right.
Your rotation at safety seemed like it was Mose and Devin there in the second half. How were Jalen and Quentin doing heading into this week?
Yeah, Quentin was injured and unable to play. It was a pregame decision. He dressed for the game, and the medical staff didn't feel good about him going, so he didn't play at all. Devin got some good snaps and did a nice job in pass coverage. Got a couple guys on the ground and perimeter tackling. We didn't ask him to do much down in the box, but I thought from a coverage standpoint he did fine.
Back of the room, bro.
Anthony Calandria is explosive and fast and can get the ball down the field in crunch time, and they've had a couple comeback wins this season. How do you guys kind of plan for that defensively, especially on the perimeter?
Yeah, they're a much improved offense. I think he's playing better. He's making better decisions. He's still, really a good runner. He's athletic. He's fast. He's tough. He's got a strong arm. He gets the ball down the field, as you said. He got a big target in number 8. He's got over 50 catches. They've been a group that I think, when you look at what they've done really well, they're probably pretty pleased in some of those games with what they've been able to do. And we know we'll get their best effort. But the offense, it really does go through him. He's a scrambler. You got to keep eyes on him, trying to contain him and play coverage. And they've been able to run the ball at times on people. So it's a much improved group.
We saw Xavier Turner-Bradshaw working some with the defensive backs, I think, in pregame. Is he moved to that side? How's that working?
Yeah, he has. We started messing with it a few weeks back. Like all these skill guys, if it's not working out on one side, you want to give them a shot on the other. And right now he's embraced it. He's given it a go. He's got great speed and quickness. It's hard whether you're covering a slot or the receiver out to the big field. You need a really good skill set to do that. And, he has that as far as speed and quick. So we're going to give him a shot at it and see where it goes.
I think coming into the season, one of the strengths was going to be pass defense. You look at the number of big plays you guys have allowed this year. I think 123rd nationally in 40-plus yard pass plays. What do you see the reason for some of those big plays? And as a coach whose mantra has been make them earn that on the other side,
Yeah.
How frustrating has that been?
Yeah, very frustrating. I think it's been a couple of things. It's been playing the ball. It's been coverage miscues, poor eyes, and then occasionally good plays, which will occur by the other team. But, for a group that generates pretty good pass rush, we should be better there.
Okay, I have 2, so I'm going to keep the mic after the first one.
Okay.
First, do you feel like the heightened sense of stake around this game is maybe that extra 6 or 7 points you guys may need to get this win when it comes to the bowl, senior day, first time you have fans in the stadium for this rivalry in years, things like that? Do you feel like that does add some points when it comes down to it?
I think our guys are going to play their best. I'll be disappointed if they don't. It's our rival. It's senior night. It's for postseason eligibility. There's a lot at stake, so I do think they'll play their best.
My second question is beyond, end of the regular season. Once, a potential bowl game is behind you, approaching the recruiting section, your phase. How do you approach that, especially considering the next couple weeks, high school playoffs in Virginia? How much emphasis is put into the high school recruiting, and how much emphasis is put into watching these championship games for the conferences coming up, picking kids out of the portal, things like that?
Yeah, so what's changed a little bit is now the month of December is a quiet period. So the coaches are not on the road, which is really different. But they also, the second thing is they've moved the signing day up. So this group of high school players that we have committed that I'm very excited about, we've got to get them to the finish line. Some of those guys, half the group are early enrollees, which would be coming here mid-January. So great urgency with those guys. And then also you start building your transfer list. Anytime there's been a coach dismissed, those guys immediately are eligible. A lot of these FCS programs seasons are finished. So those boards are already building out. And then you go back to your logistics sheet. You look at what your attrition will be potentially. The guys you lose to eligibility, they're seniors, they're clocked out. Guys you may lose early to the draft, guys that may transfer. What are your needs? Do you need a starter at this spot? Do you need a depth guy at this spot? What do you need to go to the portal for? So that's a lot. It's going to be a pretty hectic couple of weeks.
Let's go Damien, then we'll go to Zoom.
Brent, what do you have to say about the senior class?
Yeah, I love these guys. You're talking about a group that went through a coaching change and a bunch of highs and lows on that field. I love the commitment and the brotherhood that they forged. We have a very close team, and we've been very competitive all year long. A resilient team that has no quit. And that's a credit to those guys. They've held this group together. So I'm very proud of them for that. And, they all share the same mindset. They've loved their experience at Virginia Tech. And that's not just football. That's all of it. Being a student athlete here, being in this community, sharing the love from this fan base. It's a great group of guys that, I wish them only the best and tons of success. They have so many great traits and attributes that lend to them being successful post-football.
Your team didn't record a sack for the first time since week 3 of last year. How eager are those guys to get in the backfield and finish some plays against UVA?
Yeah, we, Duke did a great job. They were about 2.2 in getting rid of the football going into our game. So we knew the ball was coming out quick. But, obviously we pride ourselves on rushing the quarterback. A sack or two in that game would have made a difference. And certainly with the quarterback that UVA's bringing in here, keeping him caged up, getting him on the ground. Some people have had success. Some people haven't. That's going to be one of the keys to the game.
All right, let's go to Zoom for a couple.
On Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to ask questions for Coach Pry. Please also state your name and outlet before your question. And we'll start with David, please.
Brent, David Teal with the Daily Press. How would you assess APR's impact beyond the numbers, which we can all see, but his impact on your program during these 2 years, both on and off the field?
Yeah, APR has brought, obviously the sack total has been important and impactful, as you mentioned, but also his approach to pass rush. His commitment to it, his passion for it, I think was infectious in our room. It elevated, our D-line in that aspect. I think the other piece is you have a homegrown guy, from the 7-5 that goes off to the SEC, doesn't have success, comes back and immediately, has success, helps our team, and has helped himself with his career and his goals, post Virginia Tech. So, guy that came back home and was able to really make the most of his college career. So I'm very proud of him. He's been super impactful. He's a great talking point for us. I'm excited for what he can do in this game Saturday and, for what his future holds, as a defensive, lineman at the next level.
in many ways, does he embody what the portal is supposed to be about? He was patient at Florida and then, after a period of time, searched for a new home and then found it and thrived.
Yeah, I think he is a good example, and there's plenty of good examples to the transfer portal. Whether it's guys transferring down, transferring up, where the opportunities are right, and the situation you're in just hasn't worked out. But as you said, when you've given it, ample opportunity to work out, and you've fought through some of the adversity, and you've had concerns that you got on top of, but for certain guys, it's a good avenue for them to right the ship and have the positive experience that we want all these guys to have. So there's a lot of horror stories about the portal, and a lot of them are certainly merited, but there's also some quality things that are coming out of it.
Thank you.
We'll go to Mike next.
Hey, Coach Mike Barber for the Daily News Record. I'm curious, big picture, you ended last season with a ton of momentum, talked a lot about the momentum, the direction of the program. How important is Saturday and making a bowl game and beating your rival for the overall momentum of what you're building there?
Yeah, I think, number one, the game itself is always going to be important. You could have one team at 10-1, the other at 1-10, and this thing's going to be a monster. So, and that in its own right. But for us to continue to build this program and elevate this program from year 1 to year 2, year 2 to year 3, it's certainly important in that regard. But, once we get out of this game, we'll look at the season as a whole and, where we made strides, where we didn't make strides. That'll be part of it. But, this is kind of the final piece of 12 to what type of team, we are at this point, what type of program.
You've got about 100 different personalities there to manage in your locker room. What have you learned about, keeping guys from getting too hyped up for a rivalry game or trying to embrace some of that hype and get them playing with emotion? What balance do you try to strike?
Yeah, I think, I'm an emotional guy, and I think the mindset going into these type of games can be different. I really do. I'm good with that. But I also think the focus needs to be on execution and the practice reps and what we need to do well to give us a chance to go play with all that emotion and have it equate to a win.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Coach Pry on Zoom? Okay, Travis.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yep. Thanks, guys.